Welcome to DeFi Unlocked, our video recap bi-weekly, covering all the local and global news when it comes to institutional DeFi, as well as the opportunities and insights that we've attained throughout the week. So what we've all been witnessing over the last few weeks is a whirlwind of news when it comes to traditional financial systems, especially out of the US. But what we want to understand is how is this going to affect the institutional digital asset space? Now, although we've seen this crisis come out of the US, crypto assets have seemed to have the adverse effect. So what we're going to do today is sort of flesh that out a bit further, understand the sentiment of institutional asset managers in the crypto space, as well as what the US is looking to do with crypto assets in general. And then hopefully by the end of this, we'll have a better understanding of what the future movements will be. A recent survey conducted by Avant-Garde on 50 institutional US-based investors has indicated extremely positive results when it comes to sentiment surrounding crypto assets. So what the survey basically demonstrates is that 75% of these institutional investors will actually be increasing their exposure to DeFi over the next year. And then on top of that, there's been a market interest by hedge funds to further borrow USDC, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. And then one thing that was quite surprising to me was the two new streams of technology in DeFi that institutions are mainly interested in, which is real-world assets and derivatives, having a primary focus in 2023. Crypto-exposed institutions in the US have voiced their concerns in light of SEC's aggressive pursuits and lack of clear regulation. Basically, this lack of clarity is scaring US-based institutions because what they feel may happen is this lowered sentiment and the lowered confidence of their end users will translate into lower revenues for them. So they're looking for safer havens and regulatory environments that are more crypto-friendly. So if the SEC does not come to the table with clearer regulations, the US is at risk of being left behind. There's been a large-scale and preemptive pushback against US CBDCs. What we're seeing in the US right now is something akin to a civil strife between those who are pushing and pushing away CBDCs. You have the Texan Senator Ted Cruz, who's actually already introduced a bill to fend off CBDCs. And then you have Ron DeSantis, who has also taken the stage to warn of what a CBDC could entail. So for the Spotlight section today, I want to target real-world assets. Are they a pipe dream or a reality? With most of the institutions that I've spoken to date, real-world assets coming on-chain has been of primary interest, and I want to explore why. So the way to actually understand the value of bringing real-world assets on-chain is to look at it from the perspective of buyers and sellers. For the buyer, it's basically access to an asset class that was previously beyond reach. And the fact that, for instance, commercial real estate has been fractionalized and tokenized, a smaller sophisticated investor or small to medium institution can now access that yield-generating investment. Now, on the selling side, what you have is access to larger liquidity pools. Whereas before you could only sell to a very select pool of investors who had the capital, the upfront capital to invest in these assets, now you can expand that to the new sophisticated investors and smaller to medium asset managers and institutions. Now, although there are direct benefits on both sides of the ecosystem, in theory it's great, but in practicality there are still a few hurdles to overcome, such as a clear regulatory framework and also ensuring that the real-world value is mirrored on-chain. So if this is of interest to you and you want to learn more, that's fine. On the DeFi Unlocked podcast, which we will be launching real soon, we will have experts to discuss this in much more detail, but also give you actionable insights so that you can participate in this ecosystem too. So if you took any value out of this and you want to continually stay ahead of the curve when it comes to institutional DeFi insights, please head to the link in the description or the copy above, which will allow you to subscribe to the newsletter and obviously be notified every time we release content. Thank you for tuning in and see you again in 2 weeks.